The first dimension line has no width, no depth. It only has length. So you can only move left or right. A two-dimensional plane has a bit more freedom than the one-dimensional line, since it has width and length, but still does not have depth, so it cannot overlap. Three-dimensional space should be pretty easy to understand, since that's where we live in. We can move left to the right, up, down, or forwards and backwards. In 4D, it is similar to a 1D line. 4D directions are time and anti-time. They are also called ana and kata. They are Greek for up and down. In a 4D line, there's lots of 3D spaces on that line. And since they are arranged in time, you can see that these are changing from state to state with time. So we could say that this is my life, and this is when I'm born, and when I'm a toddler, maybe my first school day, and so on. So we can say that the 4D line is like my life, but my life is not set like how this line looks like. We can branch off into other directions, and those branches can branch off even further. And then I'll have maybe different careers or different situations that I meet, and so on. So maybe that I am currently on the line that I chose to enter the breakthrough challenge, and then this is when I make the video, this is not when I don't, and when I win, when I don't, and so on. But there could be also a completely different line when I enter maybe a different competition, and I enter it or not, and whether I win or not, and so on, and just keep splitting. So then the fifth dimension will look like a plane. We'll just keep expanding up, down, left and right, and so on. The sixth dimension is like 3D space. Now we can understand this using a dimension analogy. So we can compare how 2D compares to 3D, and how we can see how 5D relates to 6D. Now here's a 2D world, and this is a man who found the treasure map and has found his way all the way up to the place where the treasure chest is buried. But he finds himself in front of a wall. To get past it, he needs to walk 100 miles south or 100 miles north to get, and 100 miles back to get to the treasure. But he can take a shortcut if he knows how to travel in the third dimension. So if he goes in the third dimension and comes here, because he travelled in the third dimension, he's travelling in this place in front of his 2D world, and he can travel past the wall and come back here. If anyone was looking at him before he went into the 3D direction, they would see him as if he was just standing, but then suddenly disappear when he moved to the third dimension. And if there was someone behind the wall and saw the man appear just after he moved from 3D, it would seem that the man just appeared out of thin air. So that's how it can work in here, in the fifth dimension. If we move one of these 4D time lines out into the sixth dimension, and then into another place, someone that was chose to live in this direction might just suddenly appear here, and then go into a completely different life. So just like how they do not know how he went, people that is already on around that timeline will find and they think that that man appeared out of nowhere. When we think of the beginning and the end of time, or from the beginning of the universe to the end, some might say it's infinity. We can present it as a dot. So this dot will contain all possibilities and other happenings that could happen, that has not happened, will happen, and will not happen in our universe as a single dot. Now, our universe is not the only possibility of the universe. There could be other universes, maybe different amount of gravity or different speed of the light. If we draw a line across these two, we are drawing in the 7th dimension. So there could be lots of universes. So if it's close to our universe, it means it is similar to ours. If it's further away, it means it's very different. Now, if there are planets that have extremely different amount of gravity from our universe, but a very similar speed of light, then that universe would exist in the 8th dimension, which would look like a plane, a 2D plane. So there will be other more universes with various amounts of gravity and different speeds of light. Now, gravity and light is not the only factors that makes other universes different from ours. There could be different matter and maybe different sound, speed of the sound. The 9th dimension looks similar to the 3D space. Now there can be a lot more freedom in choosing the factors that change universes. The 10th dimension is all these universes, including the one that we are currently living in, seen as a single dot. The 0th dimension is simply a dot, kind of similar to the 10th dimension. The directions it can go is to infinity and to 0. Now, when I was doing this, I thought of something. The number line, I think that there is an end. In the Bible, Revelations chapter 1 verse 8 says that God is Alpha, the start, and Omega, the end. Now, there's 2 Omegas at the end, but there's supposed to be 1. So how do I explain that? Now here's a Mobius strip. If you draw a line or across and not take it off the paper, you'll eventually make a full circle around both sides of the strip. This is if there was a 2D organism living in this paper strip, then if it was walking, it would just feel like it was travelling in its 2D world and just staying there, not moving to any other dimensions. But actually it is travelling in the 3D direction and twisting all around the paper. Like that, we might not be able to feel that we are actually twisting and turning in other directions, but it will feel straight for us, but it's actually all twisting and turning. So I think that the numbers will keep turning and eventually meet together and continue and meet at where they all started from. So if you open this up, it can be drawn something like that, with the 0 here, the positive infinity here, and the negative infinity going around like that. Now then, there's the end and the beginnings on one spot. And there's also 0 and infinity is on the same spot also. So that's how I think that Alpha and Omega is God.